Fabulous. Fabulous. This guy a little closer right there. Fabulous. We're just going to take up the whole screen with this monster-sized canvas. So, hi everybody, I'm Paint with Josh. Nice to see you. Welcome in to the studio today. We're going to be doing something really cool. Just a plain old white canvas, so it's going to be another literally every single step tutorial. We're going to take our Bob Ross liquid white. We're going to dip our 2-inch brush right into there, just about a 1/4 inch into the bristles. We don't want anything really drooping off of the brush too much, right? That way we can spread it out very lightly, so we're not dumping everything off all in one place. And by goodness, this one looks like it might take you a while to cover, but trust me, it goes on very quickly and spreads out very thin. So you gotta be gentle with it when you're very first starting, because it could be very flippy. If you have too much paint on the brush, it could flip off and get everywhere, right? So we're going to start scrubbing it in and making sure that every single little billion pores that are on our canvas have been covered with this very slippery paint. That's all we need to do. And that makes our base coat very wet. And so we can do the wet on wet technique, which means we take wet paint from our palette and we apply it to a wet surface, right? Pretty easy in theory, anyway, right? The theory is easy. We take some wet paint and put it onto a wet surface and everything works perfectly, right? Of course not. That's not how it goes. But as long as you practice a little bit, you keep at it, you don't just give up, you know what I mean? The more and more that you try, and the more and more that you do, the better you'll be at painting, right? Whatever it is. Whatever it is. Make sure we get every single spot across our canvas. God, these big ones make your arm tired, I'm telling you. But I'm going to cover every spot, and then I'm going to show you how to check and test and make sure that every area across the canvas is just as equally wet as every other part of our canvas, right? You can kind of tell by looking down the canvas sideways, being very close, you know what I mean? And looking down it, you can see which areas are wet, which areas are dry, and everything on this guy looks pretty good, except there's one spot right here. I always seem to miss the spots closest to me because I'm looking everywhere else except for close to me, right? Now, while we have that liquid white on the brush, and just to give my other arm a rest, for goodness sake, we're going to try to cover the side of the canvas with just a little bit of that liquid white, and it will help us when we apply our color there if we have a little bit of that liquid white around the edges of the canvas. So, there we go. Much faster with my dominant hand. I don't know about you guys. Definitely much faster with the dominant hand. There we go. Just like that. Now we've got a little bit of liquid white all over the canvas. I'm going to show you just how much I need to go exercise, just how much paint we need on our canvas. So if we touch it, it should be in equal parts. Oh, my thumb's out like that. It should be in equal parts all over the canvas. And you can see if we get real close, right? All the little dimples and little things, right? Because the canvas isn't fully soaked. It's not dripping. It's not goopy. There's not too much paint on there. If there is too much paint on there, then you take a paper towel and you wipe off all that excess paint just by scrub, just like we do on our black canvases, right? But if you have enough and you've done a little test out there, like I said, we're going to come in and I'll show you the colors that we're going to use today. Probably going to go with our Phthalo green, dioxazine purple, our Van Dyke brown, maybe a little bit of the dark Sienna brown, our ultramarine blue, Alizarin crimson, possibly, maybe not. A little bit of our midnight black and the titanium white, of course. So we're going to paint a gorgeous little blue sky out there. I'm going to want to take the front of the brush, dip it into the paint, and then pull it out to where I have a little bit of excess paint right here. And that way I can load in this very thin area. It's our loading dock right here. Okay. Then we can come up onto our canvas, and because it is wet, it is going to drop off that paint, and it's going to slide and blend more easily than if it were a dry canvas. Remember how hard we were working, scrubbing on that liquid white? If you don't have that stuff, it makes it much more difficult to paint your sky out there. Now, I never want to have the sky looking exactly the same. It's not a cartoon. We're not just painting it all one solid blue color, right? So, well, you got the time. Go around your edge, at least halfway down, and then you can bring our sand halfway up. There we go. Gorgeous, right? Now, meaning we can leave little streaks and leave little things in there. You just never want it to all be exact, right? So we're going to take a little bit more blue, and again, just kind of grabbing it with the front bristles, bringing it down to the loading dock, flipping the brush over, and then loading it in like that, pulling it down from here. Now, depending on how much paint you have, it could be very dark, very heavy, because you've got a lot of paint on the brush, right? all up to us every time. It's going to mix in and become lighter and lighter and lighter. The more that we let it mix with this white paint, the lighter it will become, right? And then we can determine what we want it to look like, where we want our light to be coming from, and all sorts of stuff, right? We're going to take a little bit of our dioxazine purple onto our brush, pop it up into there, and then most importantly, down underneath. And that will leave us a little bit of shadow that we can blast our white clouds in front of, right? Doesn't have to be perfect, and remember, we're going to go blend it in a minute. We don't have to blend with every step. Let's take a little bit of our midnight black, a little bit of it, right? Too much can be bad, and it will grow, so depending on how much you put up there, depends on how far that paint's going to grow and mix when we start to blend it, right? So a little bit of color out there, and let's go wash off our brush, because we've got way too much paint on this thing to start to blend out now. All right, so I'm going to show you quickly. Oh, I need to put some more stuff in there. Oh, goodness gracious. So I've got just an old paint can. You can get empty paint cans from Lowe's or Home Depot or your local hardware store, whatever. I've got a little bit of my odorless mineral spirits in there, so I dip into the mineral spirits, and then I pull up into the empty space of the can and spin the brush like that, right? Twisting back and forth. That's going to fling out a lot of the excess thinner out of our paint can and keep it in that thing, right? Out of our brush anyway, and keep it in our paint can. Then we're going to fling it into a into a trash can, and then we're going to go into our beater bucket, which looks like this, right? I've got a 5-gallon bucket, and I found an old golf ball basket in my garage 6 years ago, and I'm using that same old golf ball basket to this day, right? If you don't have a golf ball basket, go find like a rack or like something square and metal or round and metal, put it in the bottom of your bucket. Beat the devil out of it, put the lid back on the top of your bucket though. You don't want to leave it exposed because that stuff will float up and out, right? Then we dab off our brush on a paper towel and we got a nice clean dry brush. So why don't you guys check in, let me know where you're watching from out there in the world, in the country, around the globe. Where are you guys watching from? Let me know. Check in, give me the old thumbs up if you're watching over on the tubes. And then we're going to go back and blend out, I'm going to blend out all of this color over here. It's nice, it's freezing cold up here in Oregon, you guys. Tonight, especially rainy, cold, right? It makes you sniffle a little bit. So we're going to take our 2-inch brush and come up into the brightest part of our sky, which is that unpainted white area. It is wet, right? We know the paint is wet, just like the whole canvas down here is wet. We're going to go into that light area first, sort of getting some of that white paint onto the brush and kind of pushing it outwards into the blue, which is going to grab some blue, and it's going to bring the blue back into our area over here. We know it's not going to be pure white. I'm not trying to leave it pure white. I'm trying to let it mix and blend to a very, very light color. And because all of the paint everywhere else is heavier than it is in this spot, it's going to allow our clouds to be a lot brighter and stay a lot whiter. Have you ever had that problem where you throw your clouds in there and all of a sudden your clouds are turning really blue because you've got too much paint in your sky and you didn't leave a nice area for it to get nice and bright, right? And so that's why we leave that bright area, and that way we know it's getting covered with paint, right? But there will be less paint in this spot than anywhere else. So if we put our white in that area, it will stay brighter for longer, and it'll make sense once you try your very first one. You'll be like, oh yeah, my clouds turned blue too quickly. Look, I mean, it already looks like a stormy sky out there. Isn't that amazing? Then I can go, you know what? I want it to be darker. I want it to be darker underneath here. Then I can really start to see what my little sky is going to look like. And we're going to bring it down on top of our horizon. And the more that we mix it, just like I'm going to show you, right? The more we mix it with that liquid white, the more it will literally disappear until you can't even tell where one starts and one stops anymore, right? Where does it stop? Because you saw me come all the way down here, right? So the more you mix it in, the more it will dissipate, and that's up to you guys, right? You're in control of whatever it looks like. How do you want it to look up there? Because it's totally and 1,000,000% up to you what it looks like every time. And then the next time you go to do it, you can paint it a little differently. And that's what makes it cool, guys. Isn't that neat? Now, we're going to get out here. We're going to grab a big old chunk of our titanium white onto our fan brush. You guys check in one more time. Let me know where you're watching from. I swear, I'm going to come back and read the comments this time. Look, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to read the comments. I'm going to show you my brush so I'm still here. Where are you watching from? Let me know out there in the night. Watching from the bedroom, I like that. Louisiana, Brazil, Oregon, California, Colorado, Ireland, Ohio, Toronto, New Hampshire, Daytona Beach, Louisiana, Vermont, Oklahoma, Texas, Hawaii, Oklahoma again, Canada, Rhode Island, Baltimore, Montana, Canada, London, Arizona, Chicago, Jersey over there. We got New Jersey again, California, San Francisco, Saskatchewan. Man, we got people watching from literally all over the world tonight. Now, we're going to take our white paint, we're going to run it through the paint like this, and then we're going to decide how much of this whitish, lightish area do we want to cover. Maybe we want to go this way. Maybe we want to have this big, giant, like, cumulus nimbus cloud. It's wherever. Literally mushing on the paint, turning the brush in my hands. Why we hold it like this? We do not hold it like a pencil. I'm not out here like this. Why are you holding it like this if I'm not holding it like this, right? Hold it like that so you can spin it back and forth, depositing the paint, right, where we're leaving a nice bright edge along the top where it's a little bit heavier. And then as we mix it in and mix it away, it will become lighter and lighter and lighter. Now, the reason that I do it like this is because you'll have these random areas of light and dark. Watch what happens, okay? We're going to come out here, we're going to go very light. We're going to vary our pressure from light pressure to heavy pressure, right? We're going to go very light along the top, like you're stirring up milk in a glass, right? You're going to stir up your chocolate milk. Boom, boom, boom. The more that we stir up the milk, the more it's going to mix in. And it's going to start blending, getting darker and darker and darker, right? Getting away from that lighter color. You can decide how far you want that color to go by how hard you're pushing on it, how hard you're dragging it, or vice versa, coming in and mixing it up and going, ooh, I like how that looks out there, just kind of popped out right along the top edge. You can decide again what the edge looks like, right? You can fill it in, you can make it brighter, you can have it do whatever you want to do out there. Totally up to you guys. Every time that you do a paint is another chance for you to make it different than you did it last time. Even if you did the same scene over and over and over, it would never come out exactly the same. Again, I'm telling you from experience, okay? I'm gonna get a little bit more of my white paint. We painted 2,159 paintings. Will be this painting right here. So I'm telling you from experience alone, right? Everything will be different every single time that you get out there and paint something. It's gonna look really cool. That's the fun part about it. We never know what it's going to look like until we get up here and start putting things out, right? So first I saw the big cloud in the back, and I go, okay, I want to have a little bit of that light fade down into the dark, and then we need to hit it with some new brightness. And maybe I don't want that big space so big in the dark, so we cover up a little bit more with our little front cloud. Okay, when we come back and mix it, then we're deciding how we want it to be, how bright, right? If we want it to be really bright, we're touching it very softly. If we want it to be softer and get darker, then we're touching it more rough, right? Pushing in a little bit harder, letting it get mixed down and creating all these cool little things just wherever we want them to be, right? What if we wanted to continue up, grow up over here, and just need to add the paint in there, right? If we don't add the paint there, it's not just going to appear. If we don't twist it up, it's not just going to soften itself, right? We are deciding with every swipe, one rotation, then you're looking at it and going, okay, keep going, stop. You know what I mean? All these things, varying it from very soft pressure to pushing harder, right? And then we can determine where the sky even stops. You know what I mean? Do you want to keep going with the sky? Do you want it to stop there? All things are up to us, guys. Now, let's go put in our little horizon. This is one of the most difficult things you can possibly do as an artist. Right here, live on the air, we're going to paint a straight line for you. Just one straight line with our black, our blue, and our purple paint all sort of mixed right here into our little blue pile. So it's very dark in the paint. You want to see a little closer? A little closer. There we go. It's very dark. Right? Now, I can decide, do I want to come all the way down here and put it in? Do I want to sneak it up or up, wherever I need it to be? Okay. Let's say, where's the center beam? It's right there. Almost right where I want. Right where I don't want it to be. Let's go up a little higher right there, right? We're going to go in here, we're going to drop it on, and you tell me whether or not this is a level horizon. Do you think, after one swipe, that that is a level horizon? Okay, 2 swipes. One more, give me one more time. All right, let me know if that is level or not. Tell me in the comments now. Hey, right there. Let me know if that's level. Are we looking schlevel on our horizon? What do you guys think? We got nose. That's okay. We're just talking about the top line, not the bottom line. The top line, top line, top line. We got no, 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 no. I agree. You know why? Because we've got a little dip right in there. It's all about the density of the dark paint as well, right? Density. And I always tend to, since I paint from the side over here, my scenes tend to trail off. And so the right side usually needs to come up. How about that? That's a little bit more level. I would say so. Now, without even adding paint or taking it away from my brush, right? We're dropping on with lots of pressure, bending the brush at full pressure, putting it onto the canvas, right? I can even wrap that darkness around the edge of my canvas over here, just so it's a little darker and more distinct. It makes it look like your scene wraps around when it really doesn't. It's only up here on the front. Now, as we reduce our pressure and we let that paint mix more and more and more with that white, right, that's on our canvas, the more and more and more we do that, the lighter and lighter and lighter it will become. Now, if I push really hard on the canvas, I might make this too dark, right? So I'm trying to keep it nice and bright, using the same color, not doing anything, literally. Don't even again, wash the brush, and do anything, I'm just touching it less. All right, we'll let it extend out a little bit further on our right side down here than it is on our left side up here. But it's not so severe of an angle, right? It's a very shallow downward angle like that. Okay, now if I'm gonna do that, I need to, because we're literally making this up as we go, I need to put a little bit more of that dark paint and make it the same sort of triangular little shape, the same action where it's kind of going down, right? So it doesn't, again, need to be so severe, but it does need to be lower on the right side than it is on the left. Right? So a little bit higher up there, a little bit lower down here, and just a darker color than what's back there. That's gonna be really cool, you guys. I'm really liking how this one is going to turn out. If you can't see it yet, that's okay. It's okay. If you don't see the vision, give me a minute, literally like 1 more minute. I'm gonna change your mind. All right, now, we're gonna come in here with our titanium white back there and the chides over here. Right, we're gonna come back and we're going to start making another, again, small triangle. All we do is make little triangular shapes. I'm gonna show you why. We come back here and scrape in a little bit of that white onto our palette tool, okay? And as we come out here, we need to decide first how big, where's our wave start crashing, how long is our crashing section, and how big is our splashing section. All these things come into play. So don't go too far over towards the middle of the canvas. Let's start about 1/4 inch, right there, keeping the blade very flat, and it's also flat out this way. It's not compressed down against the canvas, right? So the more that I start scraping, I again want to go down and down and down. Just little, see what I'm doing? Just little scrapes. And every so often we're clicking down a click. So we're a little bit lower here than we were when we started up, right? You can even take this part, because it'll probably be the heaviest part where you first contact that canvas. And you can push it outward, because we're going to end up covering that section anyway. Now, we'll take our white. We're going to attach it to the back of this area right here, but we're not going to go all the way back to the horizon, right? Your brain wants you to make everything all the same, okay? You don't want to do that, at least my brain does. And so what we're doing is we're popping in little details, little themes, which are kind of coming off the back of that wave. Maybe that section back there might be a bigger wave coming in, right? How do we want these scenes to look, you guys? Because we can decide what we want them to look like as we go. I wasn't going to put that in there initially, but now it looks like there's a further away wave coming back in, right? We're deciding, let's take this one down a little bit more, way down there, right? I could have done the first one first, and then the second one next, but you make it up as you go. That's what happens around here, right? Excellent, excellent. Guys, remember, don't put your white all the way at the back of the horizon. First, it'll get lost in our cloudy sky, our foggy, cloudy little, it's almost starting to look like an Oregon coast. And you're never gonna see those details that far away at the back of the horizon, right? So, my suggestion is don't put anything back there. We have one little slip up of the brush bristle that I have to blend up back here. Here we go, gorgeous. Now, out here in Oregon, the clouds roll along the ocean so low that some of the times you can't even see the horizon because their clouds are too dang close, right? And they kind of block our vision. So now what we're gonna do is about right out here where our triangle starts to thin out. That's where we need the eye of our wave, okay? So we're gonna take our fan brush. We're not gonna get too much paint onto it yet. And it's just pure titanium white that we've been working with this whole time. Nothing else except for titanium white has been on this canvas. And in fact, I need a little bit more detail in my cloud over there. So just give me 2 hot seconds to put one more little detail over here, just because I feel like it's lacking in a bit of bright. And there we go. That's all we need. One little thing, and then again, we're mixing it up and never staying in the same place at one time. That's the key. Do not just mix it and stay in that same spot over and over, okay? So we're gonna take our fan brush, we're gonna grab our titanium white, like I was saying before. We're gonna go find a space underneath, and we're gonna make a bigger area over here, and then just let it kind of trail off into nothingness over there, right? A little bit of nothing. It's just kind of like a little schwimmer. It's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now we know that the paint is going to grow and extend depending on how hard I'm mixing it up, right? So if I mix it up very softly, trying not to allow it to touch the white color on top, and trying not to allow it to grow too far down, because it's only a very small little area that we get to work with right there. Now what we're going to do is, again, flatten out a little bit of our titanium white just by pulling it flat down, almost like you're trying to wipe off the blade, okay? Come in here, scrape up a little bit of it. Okay? We don't need to have too much, because if we do have too much, it's going to be too bad for us, right? So we're going to come off the edge right here. We're just going to kind of tap at it. Tapping, 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 tapping. How far do you want your little wave to go, right? All we're doing is adding a bit of extra paint there. Then we're going to wipe off our blade. We're going to come in here and start to think about a big clock, right? Remember back in school, you get out of school at like 3 o'clock, so you'd be just staring at the clock, just waiting for it to hit the 3 over here, right? And then by dinner time, it was like 6 or 6:30. That's when I like, right? When I was hungry by that time. So what we're going to do is think about this like a clock, right? We're going to come down to 6:30, 7 o'clock down here. We're not going to pull straight down, okay? We're kind of arcing the palette tool like this. And basically what we're going to do is touch the paint that's already there, just drag it over a little bit, okay? Then with each of these little swipes, it's going to want to blend in, but we're also going to be pulling more and more and more and more and more flat this way, right? You see how they've changed a little? This guy's down like that, that guy's over, right? So this one's aiming here, this one's aiming here. You have to kind of work it around a clock like that. And these are going to end up getting covered in the back, so never worry about what it looks like back there, okay? Now, again, you don't want it to grow too far, and you want to leave a little separation of color, so you have that dark color in between your bright areas, right? You don't want to mess around and make it too bright. I'm telling you from experience. We've done 2,159 of these style paintings, right? And I'm telling you from experience, you do not want to make them touch, because then you're not gonna be able to tell what's what. Now we have our liquid white and titanium white in about a 50-50 mix. So I just dipped into my liquid white a little bit, brought it over to my titanium white, mixed it up till it's a little bit mushier, a little runnier. Got it on the edge of our brush. And basically what we're going to do is almost decide where you want to have your water start to break. And remember, keep a separation in between. So these things we're kind of hitting on the very corner of the brush, right? So if I'm looking at you like this, where you can see the tip of the brush, right? This tip right here, follow this tip on the end as I move it towards the canvas, and then smack into the canvas like that, pushing it up, 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 higher up as you go over here. Make it like a little U shape. Doesn't have to be a crazy U shape, and you don't have to have everything be so separated in here. It is better if there is a dark, or at least a couple dark breaks in between your top water and your bottom splash. And you can make this thing literally as big as you want it to be. And remember, the more paint that you put up here, so the more, say if I add more up here, I'm smacking, just making it brighter, but the more it's going to extend and grow by the time that we get done with it, right? And because we've come down a little bit further, I'm gonna get a little bit more of my blue and black. We're gonna make this guy, before we even start mixing, I'm gonna make that space a little bigger. Yeah, yeah. I never seem to make it big enough to begin with. Yeah, I just want a little bit of that excess darkness to kind of flow out from underneath. So, when I come in here with all this very wet paint, all I'm ever gonna use, just like Bob ever said, was like 3 hairs of the brush. So we're going to try to bend the brush away from the canvas, right? So say it's like this. Here we go. Full straight on view, right? I'm bending it away from the canvas, and I'm not touching the full brush onto it, right? It's up and away, so I'm just grabbing the top bristles, just like that, very softly, okay? And so we get up here, and I'm saying, if you do more than 4, 1, 2, 3, 4s and you don't move, you're gonna mess it up, okay? So literally start and then never stop moving. I almost do it like a figure 8, right? Watch, just while I'm gonna try to do it slow. It's more difficult to do it slowly, but watch this. You're gonna kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4. It barely even touched, barely messed it up. That's perfect, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, stop. I need to get there, I need to make it brighter right there so I can go back and do that on the second round. Or I can take this paint and drag it that way, right? What do I feel like doing? 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe up here, and then I drag it down. So I came up, and then I worked it down underneath, swiping the whole time, making sure that my brush is not in the same place all the time, right? So I'm trying to take some of this and work it out that way, and then get some more, work it out. That's all we're doing is mixing it up. Now, if you do this too much, it's going to mix away too much, and that's okay, because we come back and we do it a second time. So we go back into our liquid white, right? So you can tell it's much more liquidy. We plop that thing on, you can see the difference in consistency. Now drag in the thicker paint and allow that thick paint to mix in with our thinner paint in about a 50-50 mix, okay? And then we can come back and we can do it again. Maybe we want a little bit more splashy details. Just kind of hitting on to our canvas, right? I can go blend them out if I don't want. We know that if we don't want to see it, we just got to push a little harder, right? And so again, we're just holding it like a chopstick, just smacking the canvas. And if I change the angle or do it more this way, right? However I'm having the, all I'm doing is just hitting it. And that way, we're dropping off these little things, and every so often you get these cool little splashy bits that come out the top. Those are the things I love. Right? Now, this is round 2, so we've got to go softer than we did before, right? And all we did was 1, 2, 3, 4. I remember trying to touch it as softly as we could anyway. But now we have to go even softer, and I want to miss things. I don't want everything to be the same. So literally, one swipe across, we should be good, right? Because if I mix everything up all exactly the same again, then I'm not going to have any differences in there. And then our final thing is we're going to go throw some paint, literally. We're going to take our paint. I've been holding the palette this whole time. We're going to take our paint, we're going to flick it at the canvas. You've seen people do it with like a toothbrush and stuff. I use our palette tool and a little fan brush, and we'll flick it at the end. So, here's one more cool little thing that I bet nobody ever even told ya. Right? If your wave is coming down at the sufficient angle over here, you should be able to draw a straight line from the tip of that through the bottom of the wave, and then it'll tell us where to then put our next line, and we should have perfect perspective if we do it that way. Now, just because that's where our starting point is, doesn't mean that that's where the ending point is. But if we come up here, right, we're starting literally a straight line across, and I will prove it to you, right there. Boom, right, on the bottom, on the thing, pretty straight. I mean, give me a break, I did it with my hand, right? Pretty straight across the thing. And you should have perfect perspective every time. Now, as we start scraping in, you'll notice a difference. You see how low the brush is to the canvas right now, how low the blade is, right? We're basically flat mushed against it. That's because I'm trying to get off the last remaining bits of the paint. When I have a fresh blade full of paint that looks like this, right, where you've got that little load, that little ridge, right, then my blade is much more vertical up here to where you can't even almost see it. It would have to be like this. And the more that I go, the more I have to push it down onto the canvas to access that roll of paint, right? That's all we're doing. Trying to get that very liquidy white and titanium white mix of paint to come off the roll. Now, if you start up at a higher place and you work yourself down at this very shallow angle, then you should notice 2 train tracks running like this. Pretty, hang on. Hang on, I can actually do it, hang on. Again, my mouth's a little dry. Right? 2 train tracks running down the thing, because they should be pretty parallel, exactly when you're starting anyway. Then again, you can extend it as far as you want to come out. So let's say I come down here a little bit further. As long as you see those train tracks in the beginning, you know you're on the right track. Gotta crack myself up. I'm just freaking hilarious, huh? So looks aren't everything else, so it's fine. So we'll come down here and just extend this guy out as far as we want to go, using that liquidy white, titanium white mix that we used up here. So it's about a 50-50 mix. That way it's a little chunky. We can move the paint around without it getting too dark, right? This white stuff wants to mix in and go dark as we're mixing it over this darker color. So if we have that 50-50 mix, it gives us a little bit more body. We can kind of create that little lip that's out on the front. And don't worry about what your wave or your front edge looks like, because we're going to come in here, add our sand, and do everything else. And since I added my darkness down a level, we've got to come back in and make sure that we've got a nice glossy bluey area, little bluey area out here, which should be a lighter color than our darker color was up there, right? You can already see it, you guys. You can see it, 6 or 7 swipes, bro. I've got a 13-year-old, so don't blame me. And if you don't know what it means, you're lucky. You're you're in the human populace that hasn't been affected yet. Look at that, though. Isn't that great? Fabulous. Okay. Now, we're going to come back in, we're going to take all this paint and we're going to roll it up into our wave. And that's what I was talking about our 3 o'clock. Because we're going to work between noon and about 3:15, 3 to 3:15 on our clock, depending on how steep your angle is, right? If your angle is down here and you're really steep, you got to change something. You got to get rid of something, back it up a little bit, okay? But what I mean by our 3 o'clock to noon, right? We're going to be pulling out straight. Every time we go, we're going to kind of grab onto that white paint, we're going to pull it straight to the side, straight to the side, straight to the side. Each time taking a step backwards, a little further over here. And the more that we come over here, the more now we can start to go down and rotate, right? Now, you cannot just straight up like a 45-degree angle of a rotation. Think about it like you've been in an airplane before, right? The airplane has to run down the runway and then lift off, right? Got to go down the runway and then lift off. Not just straight up or straight from here to there. This is bad, right? You don't want it to look like your bits are all the same angle and they're all very horizontal or very diagonal like that, right? So each time we go, we're stepping back, we're swiping, we're making it a little softer, pushing it back into the wave, trying to leave our thicker area out here along the front where we have that little lip of our water, right? Get underneath your little guy back there. We're trying to leave a very small little ping pong ball, golf ball size hole back here of darkness, right? So you do not want it to get too bright. You don't want to have too much paint. And if you're lucky enough, you could get in there and darken it back up. But it takes years of experience to be able to finger paint it and make it dark again, right? I'm telling you. Don't make it too bright. I'm telling you. Try not to drag too much of your brightness up into the eye. And also you can see, right, as we're coming up here, and then each one of these guys, we're clicking out like minute hands on a clock, getting flatter and flatter and flatter. You can bring them longer out here, and flatter and flatter, just like that. Make your true little wavy little bits, right? Then you can decide how bright you want to have it, this, that, and the other. You can make it really chunky in here by adding some more of your titanium white. Right? Allowing that stuff to even cast its own little shadows, maybe rolling it up backwards off the blade, which is the most difficult thing that you can do. So if you master this, you can do anything. Seriously. Again, changing our angle. So we're going up, then out here we're getting less and less and less and flatter and flatter and flatter as we're dropping things off. Right? We're not really focusing on everything that's in here too much. We don't want it to be too noticeable. Everyone's gonna be looking right here anyway, right? They're gonna be looking at those dark areas, really looking at where your wave is rotating back up into. So how much of that brightness do you want to allow? No, I usually take it away. I like it a little softer like that. It's rolling up in. Oh, it's just gorgeous. I'm loving it. And then, no matter what it looks like, you can always go back. See, it's got that rounded feel, like it's been thrown, landed over. Right? No matter what, we're gonna go back at the end and spritz it all with our brush and everything, right? So don't worry about what it looks like up there. I'm gonna make this guy a little bit more extensive, and then we're gonna put in our brown sand just right on top of the brush. I would like some of the blue to mix in with some of the brown, right? So however big you want your section, double it. And then we'll come in with our Van Dyke brown, the deepest, darkest brown. Come down here. And I'm going to put a little paint on and a little paint on. And then I'm going to take the paint off of the brush because I want to have all this bright, white, untouched area so that we can help it blend those two brown colors, right? This is oil paint. It's fantastic. Look at it. Right? Again, the more that we put up here, and if we allow them to get too close, they're going to overtake everything, and that's not what I want. So let's go wash this brush out, make sure it's nice and clean. Get into the old thinner, shake it into the old can, beat the bejesus out of it over here, and then dab it off on a paper towel. That way it's nice and dry. Now, when we blend these two brown colors together, if you have a lot of heavy brown, it's going to mix to a dark brown. If you got a little bit of brown and you allow it to mix in with that liquid white base that's on there. And then we're going to start mixing it up into the blue area and blending it to where you almost can't even tell where one starts and one stops. Dragging this paint over here into the other paint, pushing a little harder, right? The more hard that you're pushing, the softer your blend will be. Right? So if I really want to take those streaks out, just turn the brush on the side, right? Versus being this way for crisscrossing. You never want to crisscross in your land. It's always straight, horizontal drags. And then we're going to drag some of that brown and let it intermix with some of that blue and let it mix up and mix up and mix up and mix up and mix up. Boom! Right? Where does one start and one stop? You can't tell me. Right? Oh my Lord, it looks like it comes way out here. Isn't that fabulous? Oh! Okay. Now you let me know. By the time we get done with our next step, okay? We're going to get 90% liquid white, which is a very drippy white blending, oil blending medium, okay? You can make your own liquid white by mixing 50% of your titanium white and 50% like odorless mineral spirits or paint thinner. I've never done it before, but I've heard that's the mixture that you're supposed to use to make this very wet version of this paint, right? Then we're going to take about 10% of our titanium white compared to however big our liquid white pile is. And we're going to mix that guy up into this very runny mixture of itself, right? Think about the liquid white being like gravy, right? Like gravy that's too watery. And so you're taking a little bit more titanium white or gravy mix and adding it to your watery gravy to thicken it up a little bit, right? We still want it to be gravy. We know we're not trying to make it titanium white. We still want to have gravy. We just don't want to have it be so watery out there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to decide where the land and the water stop touching. And so we can take our very runny paint, hold our blade very kind of horizontal, and we'll come out here and just drop on a little thing. Doesn't have to match perfectly. We come down, we can extend it out, we can blend it out, we can do whatever we wanted to do. Look at that, it kind of traps it in, and you get all of that wet, shiny stuff behind there, and then you got your sandy beach right out here on the front. Isn't that fabulous, you know? Isn't it legit fabutastic out there? That is amazing. We didn't even need to do the liquid white, titanium white, brighten up bit. What we're going to do is make sure that we have enough of a lip on our water out here, right? So we can put on a fair amount of paint on there. So we've got this little lip of water right out on the front, which should be right over that dark area. I'm gonna say that little dark separator, so we don't have this paint looking exactly like this paint, right? You have to have that little separation in between that. We'll come in here and we'll plop it on heavy enough to where it looks like, yeah, it'll even cast its own shadow because it's got that big old ridge on it. Looks like that fabulous, you guys. Oh, look at it. Now, how many little bits do you want to put kind of running back from the edge of our little guy? How much kind of sea foam do you want to have behind your little friend? Because we can come up here. Let's say you added too much. You're always going to come up here and drag it backwards, literally going horizontal. You can see it. Imagine like you're in a ski lift or you're on like a gondola in the sky, right? The thing can't start tipping or moving or changing its angle, right? Everybody start freaking out. It has to remain flat as it goes down this very shallow downward angle, right? So we're pulling off straight to the side. Do not try to go like this. Don't try to pull it straight up towards the wave. In this seascape, that is not the look that you go for, okay? It's not going to look how you think it's going to look. You can even take a little bit of your liquid white on and that liquid white titanium white mix if you needed to, if you wanted to have some more things to drag back. In our instance right here, there wasn't too much paint to grab. But look at that. You can leave little streaky bits. You can have little shiny reflective areas just from the liquidy white paint, right? We literally do it with our fan brush. Ooh, I went up and grabbed a whole big chunk of our wave up there, but look what happens. It turns into a little happy accident, and now you got a little spot of brightness or wherever. Seriously, you can do whatever you want to do. Anything that you want to do, though. Say you want to get some colors up here, right? You have to think about where it would start from its horizontal point. So, if we wanted a little thing, maybe it drug down this way, and it's getting a little lower, a little lower, a little lower, almost looking like a little X. Have you ever seen it out there? Where the water's kind of, some bits are rolling back, some bits are rolling in, and it creates this little X shape. So we can start up here, down there, crisscross it. Doesn't even all have to be the same, you guys. I'm serial. I'm super serial out there, right? And we can do whatever we want to do with it. Make it look however we want it to look. Because it happens out there. I'm serious. I've seen it. I've literally seen it out there. Do it in person. I was like, ooh, that's cool. And if we don't like it, we swipe them all away. It's up to us. Literally what we do. Whatever we do is up to us. I kind of don't like them anymore, so I'm going to take them out. But we could do whatever you want, honestly. Every time, right? If we swipe it over, it makes it glossy again. Just that glossiness, right? So you're in control about how many little sweeps and little things and little bits and things you put in there. I never like doing too many. Never like them to all be the same, you know what I mean? But make sure they're all horizontally taken out. Because that's going to make it look more realistic. Just some random horizontal lines make it look more realistic than that X shape that we tried to paint, right? Because we were trying to make it look like something. That looks much more real because we weren't trying too hard, right? We were trying to just mess it up a little bit, that was all, right? And up to you how much mess you want to have, how thick it is, how bright it is. Everything is up to you, but it doesn't have to look exactly the same. Now, for the final chacharushki, okay, we're gonna clean off our fan brush. You guys are gonna check in one more time, okay? We're gonna clean off our fan brush, and then we're gonna go and sprinkle in all the water and all the sandy bits all over this painting. Yeah, guys, man, we got a ton of people watching over on the Tubies today. Goodness gracious. You know Bob Ross is my grandpa's cousin? Bet you didn't know that. I bet you didn't. I mean, you might have, because I say it a lot, and especially commented, because people are like, oh man, this guy's like the Bob Ross of 2025, and I was like, actually, Bob is in my family tree, believe it or not. So let's go wash off this brush, and then, and you're right, but not just 2025, all, maybe till 2075. Give me like 50 more years. Be good, right there. I like it. I'll be 90. I'll be 90 at that point. My goodness. All right, now we're going to get a smaller brush, okay, a smaller fan brush. We're going to dip in to our odorless mineral spirit, so our brush cleaner we've now just dipped into, and we're going to then press and see how much liquid. See how much liquid is falling off. Woo, there's a lot in there, Josh. I might have to use some of that on my brown as well. There, right? We don't need so much liquid. My goodness. We need a little bit of our black paint and a little bit of our odorless mineral spirits, so we kind of turn it into sort of watercolor. Very, 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 very wet stuff, right? Very watery. Now, because there was so much thinner in my brush, I didn't realize I'd picked up that much, or I dumped it in that much. I'm going to wipe it off on paper towel, okay? Then I'm going to go I'm going to go reload it on my brush by kind of tapping into that very wet area, so there's not too much, right? All I did was just tap in, so just like that. I couldn't have gotten it too wet, right? Now we're going to come over here and tap along our palette tool, right, just like that, to where we have, and you can see the consistency. I'm going to try to bring it up here so I can see, and you guys can see. See the wateriness to it? It's very shiny and very wet, right? If it's too clear, then you have too much of your cleaner in there, too much paint thinner, right? And if it's too chunky, then you know you have too much of your oil paint. Now, in order, just test it somewhere that's not your painting, right? Do it on your palette, find a paper plate. Try it somewhere that's not your painting on the first go. And then back up about 8 inches away and start your sprinkles. Now, once you start sprinkling, move. Do not stay there. Don't just sit there and sprinkle in the same spot over and over and over and over and over again. And all we're doing is dragging the brush like this, so the bristles are bending backwards and they're launching forward as soon as they pass the blade, picking up a little bit of that wetness as it's going. Now we don't have to have too many little black specks because we're going to be using our brown paint as well. Right, so we take that same dark brown paint that we put down initially, which is called Van Dyke Brown. We tap it on. We've already got the paint thinner over there because I had too much in my brush in the first one. Right, and we got a couple little brown specks. We're going to test it off of our canvas so we know that when we sprinkle it on, that we're not going to have too many or too big or too much. And remember, the more force that you push through those sprinkles, the more stuff might flick out. So you are totally in control. If I want to get really close, then I know they're going to be really tightly compacted in there. If I want to spread out further, I know they're going to be further spread. It's all up to me every single time, you guys. Seems like I dropped some white paint on the floor, then stepped in it, and now I'm creating footprints all over my painting area. Which foot did it go on? Oh, it's this one. There it is. We got it. We got it. Crisis averted. Okay. Now we have to wash out all the brown and black stuff out of our old brush. So we got a nice clean, dry brush. And then we're going to come back in with our liquid white. Sorry, I get a little drinky poo there. Excuse me. So our liquid white is a very runny version of titanium white. We don't want to have too much on there, and we don't want to have too much in the bristles. So after dipping the brush into the paint and then putting it onto the palette tool, not the reverse, don't scoop up a whole bunch of stuff and then go like this. You're going to flick out giant things, right? We wipe off the brush so nothing else is flicking off there. There's not too much paint on there anymore. And then we're going to kind of start up here, right? And throw out a couple little specks, little flicks, a couple little things that are happening up along the top as our water is breaking. Then we're going to rotate the blade. We're going to start flicking these guys off down here, on there, over here, turning it more and more and more and throwing it out because the water is going that way. This is cool. Where you get like a little streak of paint, like it's just being tossed over to the side, over here, just filling up. It's amazing, you guys. Remember, I might not have said it this whole time, but you can grab this painting right here live during the show, and the person that does get it gets to title it whatever they want. All you got to do to find it is go to PWJ, right? PWJ. You type in, then you put the period, then you put in INFO, and then go, right? And then boom, it'll take you right over there. It's flashing with a big yellow, green, orange kind of border around the whole thing. And you can get it right here live during the show. Man, that looks cool. Now we're going to go back to our liquid white. We're going to come back over, and that's literally what I do for a living. I don't have any other job, right? Come up here and teach you guys how to paint, and every so often somebody grabs one of the paintings during the show. Now that we've got a little speckle here, let's throw a little speckle down in our watery retraction area, because it might look like reflection of our spray, or that the water is just kind of sprinkling. We got little bubbles. You can do them over here too. Little bubbles. You can have them coming out of your barrel. Just try not to cover that dark area too much, right? Then we got to get down into our sand with the same paint, and we're going to start to speckle and speckle and speckle. And the more little white bits that we start throwing out here, the more it looks like sand, okay? So all you really need is a clean brush firstly, right? Because some of the times the brush can get overly filled with paint. So all you need is a clean brush, this liquidy white paint. Got our brown base, then we do black specks, brown specks, and then white specks. And the more little white specks we put on there, to me, the more it looks like sand. They look like little seashell bits or little shiny little reflective bits. Like, tell me that doesn't look like sand right there. And you can put on as many little white specks as you want, right? Doesn't it look like sand? Isn't that amazing? This painting's so sugar. What? I didn't even realize. Hang on. Boom! I love you. Whoever grabbed this one lucked out. Because if it didn't go to somebody, I was going to pull it out and just keep it at my own house. That's how much I like this guy. Oh, goodness. These little white specks, right? All determines what we want to see. Whoop, just like that. Bingo. Bango. A little piece of a, damn it. A little piece of a bristle hit right there. There we go. I'm telling you, Finger Paint Jones, that's what they call me. It's not, that's not what they call me, but gorgeous. Look at that. Now we're going to throw in our birds, and then we'll be all shatterooshki, you guys. So let me look and see who got this one. Are you kidding me, guys? My own mom grabbed this paint. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate you. Seriously, Mom started watching my shows again recently, and then now she's grabbed a couple paints. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate it. Seriously. Guys, thank my mom. She's awesome. She's awesome. First, she produced me, and then, of course, she's an awesome mom. I love her. So, you guys, Mom, you now get to decide what to name this painting. You've seen a couple shows, so now you get to decide what are we going to name this painting, and everybody out there that's watching gets to help her out, right, and suggest titles. Now, she's watching over on the tubes over there, so if you're watching over on the tubes, then you can help her out a little bit more. She's not going to see all the TikTok ones, but she's going to hear them as I read them out, right? So you guys start hitting me with some titles. I'm going to throw on the last couple little thingarooskies out here. Just make this line a little bit less straight, right? I never like it to be so perfect. Such a straight little thing. There we go. Come down, just kind of pop out, down, out, and like, literally that's much more realistic to me. There. I always change up the angle. That's the best part about these oil paints, is they stay wet enough, long enough, that you can get back in there and alter things and come back in. Start taking it out. Softening it. Oh, fabulous. Oh, isn't that great? That's excellent. So you guys start coming up with the titles. I'll read them out. Mom will pick out her favorite. So let's see. Let's see. Blue Dreams, Seaside Tide. Boom, boom, boom. I like that. Rolling Thunder, Dear Mom. That's like a good title too. Crash. Roll Tide, Ocean's Calling, Rolling In. Roll with the Changes. The Mother Tide, Mom Shore, like that one too. Name it Crash, bro. Ocean's Crest, Today We Wait. That's a cool title too. I do have to put in the bird family, of course. So let me throw that in, and maybe that might start altering your titles after you see the old bird family flying through the sky, guys. You know what's cool is Mom got a deluxe starter kit as well from my my place, and which means Mom's gonna want to learn how to paint and follow along with videos with me, which is gonna be really cool. And I can't wait to like send me what you did, Ma, and then I'll post it online, and people will go absolutely mental about what Paint with Josh's mom painted along with her son and how well it came out. Look at those birds, just flying through the sky. Would you guys not trip if I was like, guys, my mom followed along with my video, and this is how it came out. Like, what do you think? And then show the picture. Wouldn't that be amazing? Would you guys not all love that? I would. There we go. Boom, ba boom, ba boom. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so you guys keep coming up with the titles. I don't think she has decided yet. Has she decided? Is she undecided? Ocean Blue, Ocean Minded. I like that. Jimmy, I show you every single step. That's how. In the beginning. Man, look at those birds coming in too. Caw-caw! Splash. Thank you. I appreciate that. You paint awesome. Love that. Ocean's Greeting, In Flight. I like that. Solitude's Promise, The New Beginning. A Mother's Wave, Wave of Mother. Thank you. Is that Fallon? I think I pronounced that correctly. Sea of Tranquility. How long does it take for oil paint to dry? That depends on the thickness of the paint, right? The consistency, how thick each layer is. And on a seascape like this, the paint isn't as thick as if we were going to do like a mountain or something. You know what I mean? That would be a lot thicker, and that would take a lot more time to dry. This stuff may take, especially in my dry room, quote unquote, I have a very specific way I dry my paintings. And you guys know me, I don't keep any secrets. We put it in a small bathroom and run a heater in there 24/7 at 90 degrees. And it heats up the paintings and dries them very quickly within like 3-4 days, even up here in the Pacific Northwest where it's very humid. So that's how we do it. That's how we get them out so quickly and into the purchaser's hands. So you guys come up with a title. Let me know. I'm sure Mom's got a chosen one by now. Is she still here? Ma, you still here? Ma! Something that has to do with waves, waving hello. I like that. I like it. Love your seascape. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Mother Nature. That's a cool one. That's a cool title. Bob Ross painting class. No, actually, Bob was actually my grandpa's cousin. He's in my family tree, and we didn't even know about it until about 2 years ago, which is about 4 years after I started painting. Let's see. Yes, I do have the black palettes available. And if you literally go over, like if you wanted to go find something on TikTok, you go tiktok.com/whatever, right? If you wanted to go to find something about Paint with Josh, you would go Paint with Josh. You put that last bit in, right? Hit go. And then once you get over there, use the little search icon and just type in the word palette. I have a clear and black small and a clear and black large, right? This is the black large. And then we also have a smaller version and then a smaller clear as well. The small black is ambidextrous. You can use it as a right or left-handed. Same with the clear, but the clear is only printed on one side with the logo. So the small black has the logo on both sides, which is kind of cool. Name it after my sister? The Devil's Wave? That's what? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Mom, you gotta tell me what you want it named. I'll name it whatever you type in. That's what I will name it, right? That's why we're trying to get suggestions. So, my sister's name is Ashlyn, not the devil. That was a joke. It was a joke. But my sister's name is Ashlyn, right? Ashlyn. So if that has anything to do with your title suggestions, Mom wants it named after her baby girl, her second born, since her firstborn is so amazing. She's watching with you. Oh no, Ashlyn, I'm sorry. It was just a joke. I messaged you, by the way, on your anniversary, and you never wrote back. So there. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but yeah. Do you not check your phone? Like what? what the H? What the H is going on over here? That's so funny that. And I said that, and she was actually watching. Grandpa's watching too. That's awesome, homie. My grandpa's like one of the most awesomest dudes. Taught me so much, literally. Bang. All right, let's not touch it anymore. Let's clean up the last of the brushes. Mom, you got to give me a title. So whatever you say, I'll put it on the back. Right? But you got to tell me, because I can't, cause that's why I let the audience title the paintings. Because I am just so tapped for titles anymore. After doing 2,159 paintings now, which is an insane number of paintings. My grandpa probably has that Beaver Creek painting that I did. That's probably it doesn't even have a number on the back. That's how early it was. But it was probably number like 35 or 40. That's how many paintings we've done. In just 6 years, 2,159 paintings, you guys. Okay, so, what do we got, Ma? As I'm cleaning up these brushes. Mystic Grove. There's still 1,000 people over on TikTok just hitting you with titles. So what do you got? Now you rule, Weeble Wobble Fleeb. You member, Evil J Studio members, you member. Not Ashley, Ashlyn's. They're saying it Ashlyn's Beach. I mean, that's very concise right there. I'd call it, like you call it, a day out with sister. With that thing they call sisters. You know, like brothers and sisters, like cats and dogs, you know. Just in my family. Alright, wash this guy off. I only got one more brush to wash off, Ma, so let us know on the title. What do you want to name it? Name it anything you want. Any old thing. Literally got my whole family over there watching. The whole one side of the family is watching over there. Are you guys all watching on one screen? Or are you watching like Grandpa's somewhere else and he's watching, Ashlyn's watching, and you're watching all in 3 separate places? Or are you all in the same place watching? That's a good question. Because what the heck? I didn't get the invite to come and hang out. Like, what the heck, bro? Okay, we got that. We got this. We got that guy. I hope we got a title. What do we got? What do we got? Mother Nature. I like that. That was cool. When I heard that one, I was like, that is a cool title, you guys. Cool title. This is a big one, too, dude. This is no mere feat of engineering. And we did it in under an hour. Took this big old canvas in under an hour. The whole thing. How monstrous this thing is. Always got to do the top. Mom, I talk about, and Grandpa Homie, you probably remember, I talk about this all the time. Why we do the edges and why we do the top of the canvas is because when I would hang up canvases at my mom's cabin, she's a beautiful cabin, family cabin in Utah, right? I had all these paintings that I had done while I was up there, and I put them up on the wall, like going up the stairs, you know what I mean? So they look really cool as you were sitting in the living room. And as I was walking down the stairs, I could see that the top of the canvas was not finished. And it made me irritated. I was like, why? That looks bad, you know what I mean? So ever since then, I started painting around the edges of the canvas, and then around the top especially, in case you're walking down the stairs, is the only time you'll be able to see the top. But that's the whole reason why. You know, that's supposed to say original. It never comes out saying that, but that's what it's supposed to say. This one's number 2150, I'm pretty sure it's 59. Yes, okay, 2159. Calling it Mother Nature. That's awesome. That is awesome. Thank you, Mom, for grabbing this one. You're amazing. I appreciate ya. Painted on 11/23/2023. We're all going to go to Paint with Josh. Stop watching me write. It makes me nervous. Right over there. Boom, ba boom, ba boom. This one came out amazing. Literally. Look at the sand. Oh, it's fantastic. Okay. You guys have been absolutely stellarly awesome. And I love you. I literally showed you from a dry, bare canvas all the way through from beginning to the very end, how to do every single thing, what to use, how to clean the brush, everything on this canvas. So I can't wait to see your guys' versions of this painting. Please send it in to me. I'd love to see them. You can go to, you can use Facebook and send it to @officialpaintwithjosh, all one word, or @paintwithjoshk over on Instagram. My TikTok is @paintwithjoshk, and the YouTube is @paintwithjosh. Wherever you can send it, wherever you can contact me, I would love to see your version. So send them in. I can't wait. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day. And boosh! Oh, goodness. That one came out too good, you guys. Look at it. Oh, look at it.